and welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It's your host, Rob, aka B-Ball Archives. All of this is brought to you by Love You Hard TV. And once again, I have the beloved bums in the house. AJ, absolutely. Everyone here is absolute royalty. AJ James, thanks for being here this afternoon. We got some final stuff to get into, but first and foremost, how you guys doing this afternoon?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
We are how many are we? We got 10 days or so out from the NBA draft. Things are starting to heat up. We got another trade today that happened.
We're
8 days away from the draft. We got another trade today that happened. We got to talk a little bit Desmond Bane and that whole Shabako thing that went down. I don't know how to describe it because I saw that come across my phone.
You trade me for nothing but assets.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to get into my dunk this early, but then we no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we got a lot of really great stuff to get to. Some finals stuff, some Spurs offseason shenanigans, more KD conversations. Just when you thought there was enough KD convo about him going to San Antonio, here's some more coming at you.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Spurs are out. Psych, they're back in.
I want KD to be a part of my family.
That's basically what we're saying. We're saying, hey, you remember the days where you were in Austin playing for the Longhorns? Well, come back to the Lone Star State. And you know what? I wouldn't be too mad about it. But at the end of the day, I think let's get into some final stuff. Let's wrap up what we saw in Game 5. Put that on a bow, and then we'll get into some lovely Spurs conversation.
Drop bows.
Yeah, throw them bows. But guys, I think we saw the last chance the Pacers really had to swing and throw a really dangerous punch in this series. Yeah. And I think that they just kind of hung it up. And there was one moment in particular, and James, you were saying this before the podcast, all you needed to do was watch the second half to really understand what happened during the game. With 2 minutes left, Rick Carlisle took out all of the starters, and it was a 13-point game. And in the back of my mind, I said, this is when you push your starters even more. This is when you absolutely need them to step it up. You can't just concede this game and then go back to Game 6 and act like everything's okay. I don't care if Halliburton's calf is hurting. You need to go out there and give it your absolute all, and they just didn't do that. So it was a little bit disappointing. But what did you guys see out there?
I can't get over the Halliburton injury. Calf injuries have become kind of a hot button thing. So it's all I'm thinking about is Game 6. Is he going to play?
Yeah. Is he going to play? And if he does play, is that calf injury going to hold up? Because we've heard other players get calf injuries and they're walking away with torn Achilles after that. So we got to make sure that, let's be smart about this. Like, yes, it's the NBA finals, and yes, you want your star players to play, but if you want to run it back, you can't lose Hali to a Achilles injury because his calf hurts. Like, you got to monitor that. And if he plays, great. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. I mean, hats off to the Pacers for making it this far. I believe there's a couple people who called 6 games, so we'd look really good. So just saying, it'd be really nice for that to happen. But, we'll see kind of what happens, and we'll find out in the next couple of days kind of what Hallie's going to come up with.
So I think with about 8 minutes in the fourth quarter of that game, you could have just seen why the Thunder were such an overwhelming favorite. When the Pacers closed to within 2, it's 95-93. And then within about a minute and a half, there's 4 live ball turnovers, and all of a sudden it's a 10-point game.
Yeah.
And I think that sequence combined with the Halliburton injury that we're finding out about today is probably a little bit more severe than we might have thought. Probably doomed the Pacers. Even though they're going home, I don't love their odds going into Game 6.
Right. Yeah, I don't love their odds either. And obviously when you see Halliburton not scoring a field goal, he went the entire first half scoreless. Yeah, that's something we've never seen from him. So obviously, when your offensive engine is in that kind of situation, yeah, that's really, really troubling. And you're having to rely on really stellar performances from TJ McConnell and guys off the bench. And while they're able to step up, and last game he gave you 18, 4 and 4 on really good efficiency, but he's still never going to be Halliburton. And there's
Right.
just
Yeah.
too many gaps that are created when Halliburton isn't playing at that A tier level of basketball. And it's just, yeah, you can't have that while J-Dub's dropping 40 and
Right.
having a playoff career kind of game. You can't do that when SGA's dropping 31 and 10, and those two are having one of the all-time great duo performances in finals history.
The Pacers don't have enough top-end talent to allow people to have to play outside of their roles. So TJ McConnell can give you a solid TJ McConnell game as the backup, but if he has to play above that in a starter role, it's not going to be the same.
Right. And also, like, he can only do so much because he's only so tall. Like he just physically, he's a great person to have on your team, but on the defensive end, he just gets taken advantage of left and right. And he's a great defender for what he is, but if you're relying on that guy, and you much rather have a zero burger from him than Halliburton.
Yeah. Also, though, shout out to TJ McConnell. He's the only process era Sixer not named Joel Embiid to still be in the league.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is a crazy stat pull. Shout out to James for that stat pull. I love that.
You look at all those guys from that process era; they're all done.
Yeah.
I think Shake Milton might have been at the end of it, but I don't know.
Yeah, he could still be on an NBA team somewhere.
I think he's on the Lakers. He was, but I'm not.
That checks out.
You know way more than I do about Sixers players.
Ugh, yeah. But anyways, yeah, no, I just think that we're seeing kind of what everyone, and you guys so wisely said 6 games. I think we're seeing what everyone thought we'd see in the beginning, and just the depth and overall talent from the Thunder is coming to the top now.
It's just so overwhelming, and
yeah,
they can be kind of on an off night, so to speak, and still really dominate you, because this was a lackluster game from Chet and Caruso, guys that they've really been relying on night in, night out. They went a combined 5 for 23, and they're still able to kind of cruise to a really nice victory. And to me, when you're able to get production off the bench from guys like Wiggins and Wallace, they win a combined 7 for 11 from beyond the arc, and really just help that second unit. It's like, dude, there's too many guys to look at and to key in on, and basically OKC is a better version of the Pacers. I think that's exactly what we're figuring out.
And I harped on it a bunch last week, and the games that have played out since have only kind of made it more obvious. The Pacers have not gotten enough out of Miles Turner in this series. The shooting just has not been there, and it allows the Thunder to kind of dictate the size matchups and play a little bit more of that double big lineup.
Yeah, if he's not hitting shots, then you need Obi to not go 1 of 5 from 3. You need him to go 5 for 5 like he did in the wins. So that's just,
and relying on Obi Toppin's 3.
Yeah, that's not fun. I mean, I think the Pacers have a puncher's chance just because they're going home. Game 6 is going to be wild. It's going to be rambunctious. The crowd's going to be really into it. If Hali doesn't play, then they're going to have to carry this team in order to get over that hump. But at the end of the day, you look at the Thunder, and they're just a really poised, good team. They're a great team, and you start to my only thing is we need to start talking more about the Thunder and how they rank among potential NBA champions. I think this team is pretty deep. It'd be a fun bracket to go through the 2000s champions and see who wins that bracket. I think this team goes pretty far in that bracket.
Oh yeah, I completely agree, and I wasn't bluffing and wasn't over exaggerating when I think that this is probably the best team on paper since the 17-18 Warriors with KD.
Do y'all think Pat McAfee drops an F-bomb live on TV on Thursday?
Ooh.
Yeah. You
Which
know what?
F-bomb? Which F-bomb, James?
The non-Pride Month F-bomb.
Oh, that F-bomb. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Pride Month. We can't be dropping that one.
Right. But either way, yeah, Indiana, they are going to have the Gainbridge Fieldhouse just popping. It's going to be a lit atmosphere. They are not going to go down quietly, but I also think that they're just going to have their face smothered under that pillow. The OKC Thunder, they're looking like they don't want to play that game 7. They don't want any kind of momentum shift whatsoever. Take them out while they can.
Also, you know, if you're the Thunder and this game or this series ends up going to game 7, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Scott Foster ends up in the game 7, and I don't know if you want to risk that too much.
No, hell no.
He can't be the extender in game 7.
No, but he can make it sure as hell interesting.
So I think last night was the punctuation of a 3-game run that has not only probably made Jalen Williams a lot of money, but also I think bought him a lot of respect among the casual and maybe not so casual fan, because I think coming into this series, a lot of people looked at the Thunder as Shea and a bunch of high spades and weren't necessarily convinced that either J-Dub or Chet could be that running mate that they needed to get over the top. And I think Jalen Williams has answered all of those questions emphatically. And now I'm starting to look at Chet a little bit, but if he only has to be the 3rd best player on the team, then that's a whole different construct for what we thought he was going to be. But I just wanted to give Jalen Williams some credit, because I did not necessarily think of him as a 40-point performance in the finals kind of guy coming into the series.
Oh, well, I mean, I think that it's very appropriate that you're giving him flowers when you look at the last 3 games he's had. They've all been absolutely stellar, including the 40-point piece we saw, in last game. And there were some people that were saying he may deserve finals MVP over SGA. Do you think that conversation has any merit to it whatsoever?
I do. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it has some merit. I saw someone, I think it was Wob, made a joke last night. It was that Jalen Williams and Shea are going to split finals MVP because someone accidentally voted for the other Jalen Williams.
That's a good one.
That would be
hilarious.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, I
think it's going to be Shea just because of the end of game 4.
Right. Well, also he came out of the gates and scored the most points in finals history the first 2 games combined, something like that. So yeah, I mean, you got to give it to the guy that got you there. And I mean, what a season that dude's had. Like SGA going from MVP to potential finals MVP and potential NBA champion. That's a hell of a run for a year. That's for sure.
I have a hypothetical for you guys, and I've been thinking about this for a while. Do you guys think that the NBA should get rid of the finals MVP and go the route that the NHL goes and award a postseason MVP?
Well, don't they have it? Isn't there like 3 awards you can win?
It starts in the conference finals. You can win a conference finals MVP, right, and then you can win the finals MVP, and they're separate, from each other. But like,
you could also do a postseason too. Am I crazy? Is that just on 2K?
In hockey, like tonight, if Florida wins, that series will be over, and they'll give the postseason MVP out, and that kind of expands the field, because then you could very well actually give the MVP to Tyrese Halliburton.
You might, but I still feel like, okay, SGA has 15 playoff games with 30 points or more. That's only been done by Kobe, MJ, and Olajuwon outside of him. So I think this playoff stretch from an individual standpoint it's got to be all SGA if we're including all of the postseason.
I would just think that it might be a better representation of how a team got to a championship run rather than just focusing on the last series. But that's kind of a macro thing.
I agree though. I think that it would be more interesting because there could be complete series that you're glossing over that a certain player just was
Sure.
instrumental, and that's
Mhm.
one series, let's say, for instance, the Nuggets, OKC Denver could be one of the most pivotal series, even when you look back on it, and essentially nothing that SGA or nothing that J-Dub did would have any bearing whatsoever towards the finals MVP.
Well, and I think of like the 2014 Spurs. Kawhi won the finals MVP because he played great those last 3 games of the series, but they might not get out of the first round if it wasn't for Tony Parker.
Tiago
Facts.
Splitter.
And Tiago Splitter, his defense on Dirk, and then in the next round, his defense on LaMarcus Aldridge. So I just think that there's maybe some ways that they can look at this postseason award as
James, I'm going to push back on you and say there's no more awards the NBA can ever give out. Like, we're done. Like, we have too many awards. There's too many things going on. Like, there's a NBA Cup MVP. There's all kinds of stupid shit that they do nowadays. So let's hold off on that until we get the expansion, and then let's have that conversation.
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. Although I would like to see like a best like offensive player of the year.
Kind of like how they do it in football, where they have like offensive and defensive player of the year and then MVP.
Yes, because I think that MVP, there's too many like, oh, how many how many wins did your team get and shit like that, and it's like, well, but there's still that one guy that went out and
Right.
got buckets better than anyone, and generally, I think that's separate from the MVP discussion. And
Yeah,
I would like to see somebody, like Melo, like Carmelo Anthony, a guy that never was going to win an MVP, but damn, I would give him offensive player of the year a couple of those times.
I mean, look at it this year. Like, you could give Jokic the MVP, but SGA the offensive player of the year award. So, I mean, that just kind of goes to show you get in because the nuances and everyone's criteria is different, and everyone keeps moving the goalposts, like not only on MVP, but also like all-time greats. Like, if I open my TikTok one more time and I see more people be like, well, just because he doesn't have any championships doesn't mean he's not a great. But it's like, when did we move the goalpost? Because when I grew up in my day, it was like, you win championships, that's how great you are. Period.
Right. That has to be one of the that has to be one of the benchmarks in which you measure greatness is how many times you went to the promised land and got it done. But yeah, it seems like OKC's about to go to the promised land and get it done, especially when they're playing defense at this kind of rate. 27 stocks last night. Absolutely crazy. That led to 22 Thunder forced turnovers, which was very different because the Pacers only had 13 stocks leading to 11 turnovers. And we're talking about just night and day difference in the opportunities that these defenses are creating.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you point to when you deal with an injured Tyrese Halliburton. He's that traditional point guard, and if he's hurt, he's more likely to turn the ball over, and things just kind of go downhill from there. You can't have live ball turnovers against that Oklahoma City defense. They're too good at making defense and turning it into offense.
It's been a problem all series. They just can't hold on to the ball. Even when they don't turn it over, they still have a tough time. Like the Oklahoma City defense, it needs to be studied, and we're going to see a lot of more copycat defenses from this series alone.
I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that try to emulate it, but they can't duplicate it just because of how many switchable defenders they have. Like there's like everyone from Case and Wallace to like even Isaiah Joe can go out there and play some pretty good defense. And guys like Aaron Wiggins can step up and switch a lot. And you have a very switchable big in Chet who can guard a lot of different 4s and 5s. And I just view it as a very, very special defense. And I don't know if it can be duplicated, but I agree with you, AJ. A lot of people are going to try.
Honestly, if there's anybody, and Rob, I tend to agree, it can be replicated, but probably not ever duplicated. But if there's anybody in the league that has a shot, it might be San Antonio.
Absolutely.
Because you look
Absolutely.
at the players that they're building out their roster with, they are that kind of, I don't want to say positionless, but switchable roster around a guy like Wemby, who similarly to Chet can guard multiple positions in a pinch and can be there to protect the rim.
Dude, he was guarding monks in China the other day. It was nuts.
Right. I mean,
Not
he was
even
like,
Malik.
you're gonna wear my jersey, and I'm gonna get this bucket on you.
he was looking like the last airbender out there. Yeah. I'm honestly, and there was a lot of people that were giving Wemby his praises for doing something like that in the off season, where you see a bunch of guys either clubbing or at the beach or doing something else, and Wemby is doing something to work on his mental fortitude and to try to become a more well-rounded person. So I'm very proud that he's the focus and he's the building block of what we're doing in San Antonio. It's
he needs
as
to
long
be
as he's not doing Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca darkness retreats in the next couple of years.
Yeah, but if he's doing Rush Hour 4, I am totally down for that. Or is it 5? Which one are they on now?
It would be 5 now. I think
Be 5,
but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh my god, could you imagine Wemby like when it's seen with Chris Tucker? Oh my god, it'd be so much fun.
Shut
like,
how tall Wemby.
How tall are you? God damn.
Shimon Wemby.
Kata!
Yeah.
That was the first movie. Rush Hour 3 was the first movie I think we ever had on DVD growing up.
That's a good choice.
I think it was.
That's a good choice.
We can go into more Wemby movies later on, as long as he doesn't live in LA. Make him do it in Bastrop.
Right. I could see him doing like a fun like airplane situation like Kareem did back in the day.
I'd be down for that. I want to see Wemby in movies. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah.
Just like we saw David back in the day.
Absolutely. Is this our segue into Spurs conversation right here? Is this it right now, or are we?
I think it can be, as long as Wemby isn't in a Thunderstruck kind of movie.
Honestly, even if he's in a Blue Chips kind of situation, I'm all for it. Like, you give me some cheesy, like give me some, maybe even like a Coach Carter situation, maybe like a French Love and Basketball.
Yeah, we definitely need more of like a good movie. And if he does Thunderstruck and reads the script, he'd be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, no,
and so
you just named a bunch of like cult classics. Thunderstruck is just terrible.
Yes,
Thunderstruck's a bad movie.
I don't want him being in that kind of film at all.
But speaking of the guy who was in that film,
the
star who can't act worth a lick, but he can shoot his dick off, Kevin Durant. So, guys,
coming to a Raspistan near you.
We've been back and forth on this for the better part of a month now, and the news seems to die, then it comes back up, then it dies, and then it comes back up, and then Shams is giving weird like body language to the camera. He said he was trying to figure out his bearings and try to figure out the camera, and it's like, stop, dude. We've all watched this shitty ESPN thing you call the finals coverage. So like you're giving away way too much right now.
I've actually been really disappointed in Shams with regards to this KD coverage, because it's pretty clear, if you have kind of done this rodeo before, he's a mouthpiece for the Suns front office. He is putting out there exactly what he is hearing from Phoenix's front office.
And
it doesn't help.
Do you think that's like creating some misinformation?
I think that's the goal, is to ultimately get the price up. I don't think it's going to work though.
No, it's not going to work. And I think we all need to just take a breath and let's reset this Kevin Durant narrative real quick. So let's just pause for a second and talk about Kevin Durant. He's 36 years old, right?
He'll be 37 at the start of next season.
All right, he's going to be 37 at the start of next season. Kevin Durant is an all-time great player. Period. End of story. No one's going to debate that fact. The average NBA player at 37, they're not doing what Kevin Durant does. You look at Kevin Durant's whole career, he's not banging down low. He's not driving to the basket. He's not doing all these crazy things that hurt your body that make you end up on the ground. He is taking great jump shots. He's taking great three-pointers. He's a 40, 50, 90 guy or 50, 40, 90 guy, whatever. And he is absolutely still that bucket getter. His sustainability is so much longer as the way he plays than anyone else because of the way he's not going to the basket every single time. His ankles, his feet, all that stuff aren't getting pounded and pounded and pounded. So I say that because he still has a lot left in the fucking tank. Yes. He has a lot left in the tank. And if he comes to the Spurs, we need to be excited and embrace it. Now, is he going to want the ball? Yeah, of course. He's Kevin Durant. But if he gets 15 shots a game, I think that's a good look for Kevin Durant to have. And that's an offense that we can fit him in.
Yeah. And I think, we were talking about it a little bit before the show. What does a fall off for Kevin Durant look like? We're talking about a guy that even this past season averaged 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4.2 assists a game on 53% shooting from the field, 43% from three, and 84 from the line.
On a dysfunctional organization.
The past 5 years, he's averaged 29.7, 26, 29.1, 27.1, and 26.6. So, say a fall off goes to 23 points a game, on 48% of shooting from the field. That's better than any season Devin Vassell has ever given you.
Right. And we're still not even talking about Kevin Durant being a really above average rebounder. I don't think his defense gets talked about nearly enough. I'm not saying he's a great defender or he's an amazing defender anymore. I still think he's a positive defender, though. I still think overall, I enjoy the fact that Kevin Durant can be a secondary kind of rim protector where it's like, you never want him to be your main rim protector, but he can go out there with his length and athleticism and still affect some shots and get at least a block a game.
Oh, he's 7 feet tall. And you know what they say about 7 feet tall?
You can't teach that.
You can't teach that.
I'm on your wavelength, AJ. But
Thanks,
he has had to put defense on the back burner the past 2 years because his offensive load has been bigger on both Phoenix and Brooklyn. But with a guy like Wemby, with a guy, potentially like Jeremy Sohan, who can take some of that defensive load off of his shoulders, he can be more of a free safety and kind of go back to what he was on a good defensive team in Golden State. Now, we're not getting the same Kevin Durant. I don't want to, make anybody think that he's going to be a top 10 depoy guy. But he can be a really good, guy reading those passing lanes and getting.
He can still move his feet.
Those help side blocks.
Right. Like, I think that there's a world where Kevin Durant could be our 4th best defender, 5th best defender, and then that situation really works. Because obviously we look at guys like Wemby and Castle and Sohan, and I like their defense and their speed and athleticism and the way they play defense. But outside of that, if KD was here, it might be KD up next.
And when you have Victor Wembanyama, what he is a floor raiser. He raises the floor, at least defensively at this point. Yeah. He raises the floor of everyone else around him. Just because he's on the floor, they're automatically a better defender.
Yeah, and if you just play good defense and you have your defensive sets, more than likely they're going to funnel to Wemby anyway. So, like, if you funnel to Wemby and you have Kevin Durant just helping out and getting some blocks from behind, dude, that's all you need. We don't need anything more than that. And also at the same time, is Wemby going to accept that type of role? And if he does, then great. Let's see what we can do. But if he's not, then let's move on.
You mean KD?
Katie, what'd I say?
Yeah, you said Wemby.
My bad. They're so tall, I get them confused.
No, but like think about the potential length you have if you have a lineup of, say, Fox, Castle, KD, Sohan, and Wemby. That's just crazy wingspan on that lineup.
Yeah, that's when you can put their arms out and go fingertip to fingertip from line to line. That's the kind of length you have.
Getting passes off. That's going to be just a pretty smothering idea there.
Right. And then all of a sudden that lineup that you were looking at and you said, wow, this lineup can't shoot for shit. You add Kevin Durant into there, and that's a completely different situation. I still think that you look at Castle, he's going to need to improve if he's playing off ball next to De'Aaron Fox. I think we're going to need to see him improve in that manner. But I still feel like, yeah, you add KD to that situation. You have the guy chilling in the corner, free throw line extended, catching, shoot, maybe catch, one dribble, shoot.
Yep.
You have the most elite option doing that in the NBA still right now.
Yeah. Castle.
Go ahead, AJ.
No, it's Castle drives to the basket, kick out to Fox, kick out to Sohan, kick out to KD, pump fake, one dribble bucket. And then Wemby's grabbing rebounds. That would look amazing.
That 5-man lineup that I just named, Fox, Castles, Durant, Sohan, Wemby, all of those guys are capable of averaging 4 or 5 assists a game. So now, just the ball movement alone in that, you can't leave anyone open. You can't everybody can create, everybody can do anything with the ball.
Now, the only thing is Sohan's been posting a lot of pictures in Phoenix.
Oh, he's just a troll.
Oh, he is a troll, and he's you know how I feel about Jeremy Sohan. So, and it seems like the Suns aren't willing to accept anything unless he's in it or Castle's in it or the number 2 pick's in it. So at this point, I think the Suns are probably going to overlook us because I think the Rockets are stupid enough to give them all their future assets and whatnot. So we still got a long way to go till we see Kevin Durant in a uniform, but I just know that the Spurs organization, the way that Brian Wright has operated, I'm sorry, not Brian Wright, Senor Fleece has operated in the past. We are not going to overpay for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. We're just not.
You're right. You're right. We're not going to overpay for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. And you know what? You're not going to overpay for your next bill if you go with solar energy, and that is through the Solar Scouts. We got a special link right here. If you click this link, it'll take you right to the page, thesolarscouts.com/bums. Figure out how the Solar Scouts can help get you clean, reliable solar energy. We all know the Texas grid is all over the place. There's blackouts, there's heat waves, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Just make sure that you and your family have a solid backup, and the Solar Scouts can do that for you. They'll come out and give you a free consultation and figure out which way they can help you best.
Yeah, and honestly, I if you get a chance, go to their social media, watch the testimonials, watch the videos. They're great videos. The owner, Nick, is a great person. He's not going to steer you in the wrong direction. He'll be honest and upfront with you, and he will be there when you have questions, even at 1:00 in the morning, which he's done. So go check out solarscouts.com/bums.
Who's been recently, I think a lot of San Antonians have been without power during a storm. Solar Scouts won't leave you in that position.
Nope.
Absolutely. They're gonna sub in that solar energy and make sure that you have a reliable backup. So go to the people over at Solar Scouts, solarscouts.com/bums. Figure out how to get solar for you and your family. But guys, that's a lot of good KD conversation. I feel like there's still a lot of other excitement for the draft. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of Dylan Harper talk. You know, if we do end up keeping that second pick and we're not making a move, Do you think Dylan Harper is a guy that we can build up into an all-star kind of guy?
I do.
Possibly. I think the potential's there. If you would have asked me that question 5 years ago when we had Chip and Pop was still our coach and we had all that stuff, I'd say no doubt, 100%. It's a little different now. I don't know what to expect. This is our first year really with Mitch and kind of our staff. We just hired a coach. I think we're also looking at Royal Ivy to come to the bench to be
We've been
an assistant
trying to
coach
get
for
him.
us. So, there's a lot going on right now, and I don't know what I don't know yet. So I'm gonna say possibly, if history lines up, then absolutely. But I just don't know what I don't know yet.
I think we're getting a guy, Rob, all of your assumptions holding, the Spurs keep that number 2 pick. I think we're getting a guy that we can kind of compare to Stephon Castle. And, we expected Steph Castle. We might have been a little surprised by his offense, but we expected him to be an NBA caliber defensive player on day one. I think might be a little bit of the opposite situation. We're getting an NBA caliber offensive player day one. He can create off the dribble. He can operate in the mid range. He's smart with the ball. His vision is good. His shooting could work a little bit, but he posted really promising shooting splits at the combine. So I think there's something you're not starting from scratch. And so I think, he's 6'5". I think he's big enough to be a passable defender. I think that you've got a great slate here.
Yeah. I tend to agree. The only pushback I have and the only reservation I have about Harper is the fit and the fact that you need to develop a lot of guys that are playing minutes in the backcourt. And I know that we're talking about Stephon Castle and we're talking about, Dylan Harper and these young guys that need to develop, whether it's offensive skills or defensive skills. But we haven't talked about De'Aaron Fox really, and he needs to develop into a leader for a really good team. We are putting him in a position to where we're building up a really, really sick team around you as being the starting point guard potentially. And I know there's a lot of other factors at play here, but he would need to be that elite guard closer. And I know he's done that. He's been clutch player of the year.
Right.
But we're setting him up to be able to do that on a contending team sooner rather than later. Can he do that? Can he grow into that guy that's going to be that essentially unk on a team like this where, these 20, 21, 22-year-olds, they're coming to you for advice. They're coming to you for tips on how to navigate these NBA situations. So I want to know that he's able to do that as well.
I think that's a mindset thing. And I think if he has the right mindset, his presence is going to be great for guys like Steph Castle and Dylan Harper. If for no other reason, they can just visually see that's what an all-star point guard looks like. That's what headed up towards the pinnacle of our position. That's what it looks like. That's what it practices like. That's what it plays like. That's what it studies like, and I think that just osmosis being around a guy like that in an organization like the Spurs is going to benefit a guy like Dylan Harper a lot.
You also look at what CP3 did with Castle, and just like you said, James, just by osmosis, and then I feel that for us, for a guy like Wemby and Castle, who've now we have 2 rookie of the years back to back, and if we have Dylan Harper come in and he goes, oh, that's what I need to do in order to become rookie of the year, because there's literally 2 on the court right now. And honestly, I think there's a very strong possibility we can go back to back rookie of the years.
It's really weird because my mind wanted to say that Dylan Harper grew up in this, being a second generation NBA player, but he really didn't, because Ron Harper was out of the league by the time Dylan was born.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit crazy that we're having a second generation NBA player that was not around with his dad on the sidelines.
That's true, but I still feel like you are, and
You get something out of it.
Right. You use the term osmosis, and I think that was a perfect term. I think that he's absorbing little bits of his dad's personality and little bits of
little bits of
hold on, AJ, your mic.
Yep. Sorry, my computer went weird. So we're good now.
No, it's not. Your mic.
Oh.
Change your mic. We're live.
The fun of live radio.
Yeah, the fun of live stuff. Is if it's not working, then it's okay. But yeah, that's it's just affecting the overall quality of it. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get AJ back in. Just a couple of little technical difficulties over here. No biggie. But at the end of the day, it's going to be really interesting to see what we do with Dylan Harper, just because I think there's a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of mouths to feed within this San Antonio backcourt, and I guess my main grievance would be, can we develop everyone? I know that everyone has the chance to play well, but can we develop everyone appropriately? And so if we can, if we can bring in Dylan Harper without sacrificing Stephon Castle's growth as well, that's fantastic. But I still don't know if we can make all of those stars align.
I think it's going to be up to De'Aaron Fox to lead by example and really buy in to the kind of duality of both playing on and off the ball. Because I think that's how you're going to develop a guy like Dylan Harper and Steph Castle, is that they have to be used to doing both. They have to be able to lead the offense, because De'Aaron Fox isn't going to be there all 82 games for the next 5 years. So these guys have to be able to initiate the offense and be able to play with De'Aaron Fox.
That's true. Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point earlier. Whether it's Dylan Harper improving on defense or it's Stephon Castle growing into being a shot maker a little bit more, both of those things are going to have to happen if you're going to be able to kind of just seamlessly flow within the Spurs offense. Because right now we may just have a really amazing trio of guards that just kind of rotate the minutes and kind of share the love. And I see that working really well as long as we have a wide variety of skills and no one's really lacking in a certain area.
There's so much go ahead. AJ.
So this is when a guy like Harrison Barnes really comes into play. So he can kind of be that voice on the bench. And if we end up making a trade with Phoenix, he's probably going to be involved in that. So, having just a veteran presence. I mean, look what happened last year. We had CP3 and Harrison Barnes and we won more games, believe it or not. So, just having that guy that's been there, done that, and has a presence in the locker room. Like you said, Unk, just to kind of watch over the guy. Because think about all the nonsense they go through on a day-to-day basis. Not only do they have to play at their top level every night in, night out, they're talking to their agents about contracts and endorsements and all this other stuff. And you got to be kind of cognizant of what's going on off the court too. And that's when guys
be super mom, super dad.
Exactly. Super mom, super dad, just someone is going to be there. And also I would love to see Kevin Durant's mom come to San Antonio. I think that'd be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Do y'all think that Harrison Barnes just has a dartboard somewhere in his house, but instead of actually being like a canvas, it's just a picture of Kevin Durant's face?
That would be bonkers.
He's got to feel some sort of way about Kevin Durant at this point.
To be
if he
fair,
gets traded for him again.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's made a lot of money because of Kevin Durant too. So
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. But at the same time, I don't know if I would want to see Harrison Barnes go, just because we're struggling for shooting so much and seeing him.
Unless you get a KD, that's the only kind of caveat.
Right. I mean, somehow I would just like to work a deal where we don't give him up. But at the same time, yeah, if we get Kevin Durant, then obviously that fixes the shooting issue of us giving rid of Barnes. But man, just having somebody that could reliably hit corner threes was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, well, Harrison Barnes is not the diva that Kevin Durant is, so
not even close.
Right, but he's not even half the player. So
that's the biggest thing. You deal with some of the Twitter stuff if you get 27, 7, and 5. I can live with some weird tweets there.
Oh yeah, we will welcome easy money sniper. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. His diva sort is the most benign diva sort that you could possibly be.
It's all behind a what's it called, a steel curtain. So nothing to really worry about.
He's a millennial in a Gen X league,
bro. Honestly, that's well put. But at the same time, I aspire to be his level of petty half the time, though. I really enjoy when people can be not only professional with what they do in everyday life, but also a professional petty asshole. And I think that's Kevin Durant.
I saw someone recently say, like, they were arguing with Katie on Twitter, and he was like, "You weren't even mentioned in this tweet. You just searched yourself and replied." And Kevin Durant was like, "And what's your point?"
Right.
Dude, how awesome would it have been to like be one of Kevin Durant's friends on MySpace? Like, dude, could you imagine the bulletins that he was posting back in the day? Like, oh man, what a
his
time.
Top friends must have been so fluid.
Oh, dude. I bet every week it was changing. His top 8.
Nah, fuck you. Fuck you.
And I bet he had a super emo song on his page too. Like you went to it and it'd be like some kind of
like Under Oath.
Yeah, no one understands me. I mean, hey, that was me, so I could see it for Kevin Durant as well.
For sure. Cool, man. Well, we also had a couple trades go down. Burn. What did he get traded for? Like 30 first-round draft picks or something?
Oh wait, are we diving into some Desmond Bane stuff right now?
Can we?
We absolutely can. That was going to be one of my dunks, but
it's a good transition.
I think AJ just wanted to do the Bane voice.
I was actually watching The Dark Knight Rises on the way back from Orlando, and I sent Cam a voice memo, and it was, "This isn't a car.
This isn't a car." But seriously, I think like Desmond Bane was hitting the time to go mobile, and then took himself over to Orlando.
Coached by Rasa Ghul. What?
Seriously,
who could beat me in rap battle?
No, but I think I've kind of done a 180 on this trade since it was announced, and I want to know what you guys think about it, specifically, mostly from the Orlando point of view.
Right.
I think they grossly overpaid Desmond Bane. I will overreach to get him. I think the four first rounders is too much. I know that, you can look at guys like Mikal Bridges and be like, well, yeah, that's kind of what it costs to go after a guy that's really going to help your team get over the hump. And sure, maybe they just wanted to make sure they got their guy, but they gave away part of what made their perimeter defense actually special. And so I thought Caldwell Pope was one of their better perimeter defenders, obviously not as impactful as Suggs. But I also feel like you're going to be a little bit lacking defensively bringing in Desmond Bane. I don't think he does enough on that end, even though I know Orlando was one of the worst shooting teams from 3 in the league.
They needed a guard bad.
Yeah, I still feel like you didn't address any of your defense. You didn't address enough of your playmaking. You didn't address any other things, and you went all in on one facet of the game. But I also got to just address this Wiz comment. Not bats, bads.
Oh man, so I also. Sorry, real quick. After I watched The Dark Knight Rise, I did go down the Pete Holmes rabbit hole, and it's just so funny. But going back to this though, the Orlando Magic must look at the next few drafts and just be like, there's not enough talent where we're probably going to be at. But I mean, do we know that yet? And the way the NIL is, like, maybe they're onto something, and maybe it's something like that. I saw someone say that on the TVs, so maybe that's their thought process. But at the same time, like, that's so much draft capital, and I mean, you look at the Suns now, and they don't have any because they did this kind of move. So
now,
what do you do?
The Magic still do have some draft capital, so
they do. They do
completely deplete their war chest. I think because I agreed with y'all when the trade was first announced, but I think I've come around to it from the Magic end on this perspective. With Boston being down next year, they clearly see the East is winnable. And so if you're going to go with that with a starting lineup on paper right now of Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr., I think that's a top 4 seed in the East next year. When you have Jonathan Isaacs, Anthony Black coming off the bench, and Mo Wagner, like, that's a decently deep eight-man rotation before we even get to the offseason.
They only had Jonathan Simmons.
Well, I mean, okay. Is it a really significant step in the right direction? Yes. But are you better than Indiana? No. Are you better than Cleveland? No. Like, are you better than Cleveland? Hell no. That team is
You're not better than Cleveland.
I was about to say you're getting dog walked by Cleveland in a 7-game series.
But I
even
think
with Desmond Bane,
a chance to go into the offseason and make some other moves. And I also think that they obviously are quite high on the other aspects of Desmond Bane that he didn't necessarily get to showcase as much with Ja Morant around.
Like his bench press?
Like his playmaking. Desmond Bane showed a pretty good penchant to improve as a playmaker throughout his time in Memphis. So I think they see him more as someone who can play on the ball as opposed to it just being Jalen Suggs.
You're right. I think that there was enough evidence because of how much time Ja Morant spent on the sideline for various reasons. So we had those snapshots of Desmond Bane being a facilitator. Yeah. I think I liked what I saw from that, but I didn't love it enough to where you should go all in, sacrifice your guard depth, because they didn't just get rid of Pope, they got rid of Cole Anthony as well.
That's my biggest thing is the depth.
Yes.
Because I was able to name 3 bench guys, but I'm not sure how we don't know Jonathan Isaacs is always injured. Anthony Black had a pretty good season last year, but he's still a developing asset. And so I would feel much more bullish if they were to go out and try to go get a guy like Trae Young. Something like that.
They might.
Right.
They might.
That's somebody that I felt like would have made more sense, like more of a guy that I consider to be an offensive engine. Not saying that Desmond Bane can't do that to a certain degree. I just think this team really needed somebody to kind of get the wheels moving, because you saw just Paulo and Franz just try to create a lot of opportunities from isolation, and that offense was slow. They were, they would, if they were winning a game, it was because that game was like 91-87. It was disgusting.
I'm not sure if and I think this is really kind of what this trade hinges upon. I'm not sure if I buy Jalen Suggs as your primary starting point guard. I think it would have been better to try to go out and get a point guard and make him your starting 2.
Yeah.
I will say Memphis and Orlando, the cities themselves are not cool. They both suck. So to get traded from one to the other and vice versa, that's rough, man. That is a rough time. But I mean, maybe Desmond Bane like saw those new Magic uniforms and called up his agent and was like, dude, we got to go.
So does Memphis blow it up from here?
Not yet.
I mean, I honestly think if we see Ja Morant traded in the next week, it wouldn't surprise me. is all I'm going to say.
It wouldn't surprise me either, honestly, because how much further you've already traded a large part of your core in Desmond Bane, and I've liked what Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has been the past few years, but I think it might be safe to say he's over the hill.
Also, they just fired their head coach, and I don't think they've hired another one yet, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they promoted Adelman, or not Adelman.
Oh,
I think they promoted someone from their bench.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't think they blow it up quite yet, because if I'm not mistaken, also Ja's still on probation and can't leave the county. So if that's the case, true? I don't know. Just kidding. No, but if I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't surprise me if it starts to happen. But also, what's the market look like for? I mean, for Triple J, I think the market's huge. I think there's a lot of teams that would love his service, Spurs included. But I don't know. Is there a big market for Ja and all the off the court type nonsense?
Oh, yes,
maybe I think so. Just outside of Toronto, just not Toronto, because you can't get into Canada with gun stuff.
I was about to say, dude, he would fit in perfectly in Houston. That would be a situation where I could see him going to Houston, them moving on from the Jalen Green situation that they're really not thrilled about.
That's a bad idea.
You know, pairing some of their other young assets and making a trade happen like that. I can see that working out.
Ime Udoka would keep his head on straight.
Yeah, and they need offense in the worst way. They're like, you're talking about how bad the Orlando offense was. Houston offense wasn't too far behind that. And to get someone like John, inject them. And also, if you're Houston, you would want to go after Ja more than Kevin Durant. I mean, you definitely get more out of him.
Yeah, there are a few teams that could stand, I think, to make a run at a player like Ja Morant. I think Boston would be one of those teams. If you're not really looking to tank next year, you got the assets, you got the cap space, go get them. But I agree with you, Rob. I just don't see a ceiling beyond losing in 5 games in the second round with this Memphis core.
Right. Yeah, I think you got to lean into the blow up, get rid of Ja, maybe trade Triple J. I know that the Lakers want a big man, just absolutely in the worst way. Maybe try to make a deal with LA. And I don't know what that would look like, but
did you see what Stephen A. and the Morai said today on First Take about Memphis?
That people don't want to live there?
Yeah, that NBA players don't want to live there. It's not safe.
I mean, if Ja's in your locker room, it's definitely not safe.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. I've been to Memphis one time. No, I've been to Memphis one time, and I don't recall feeling particularly safe.
Everything's ever since they moved out of the pyramid, it hasn't been the same.
No, but I think it's an interest. I think that's a franchise that's really at kind of a crossroads. And they didn't think they'd be in this position 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I think whenever they were finishing towards the top of the West, they were like, yeah, we're finishing second, third, fourth. This is going to be a sign of things to come. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, goodbye, Desmond Bane. Ja Morant could be out the door. Triple J could be just, the kid that's alone on the playground. And he's like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? And you're going to be looking to kind of rebuild with the new core. So that could be
you got plenty of draft capital.
I mean, gone are the days of the Mike Conley and Zach Randolphs. That's for sure.
Yeah, those grit and grind Grizzlies were fun to watch.
They're retiring. They've already retired Tony Allen and Zebo's jersey. I think Marc Gasol is going up next year, or went up this year, and then I'm sure Conley will get retired. Deservedly so. They put that franchise on the map.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I had to look for Memphis on the map a couple of times.
It's basically Arkansas.
That's fair.
That's why you can't find it.
Well, then it's also weird to see a trade drop through and like one of the teams is in the finals. Like it was just like basically a cap space pick swap thing today that came through. So we didn't get a big one, but we did get a trade with the Pacers and the
Suns, I think.
It was Pacers and the Pelicans. Yeah, trade for the number 23 pick and also landing the rights to Mojave King, which
I don't know who that is.
Sounds like a casino.
Oh, is he Marquette King's cousin? Is that the guy?
I was thinking Bernard King's son or grandson, even shit.
So yeah, so I'm sure that was more like a cap saver and just
I think it was
swap.
I think
whatever.
Indiana wanted their pick back. I think someone got their pick back or something like that. I can't
give us that pick back.
Like, hey.
Oh yeah, but there will be a lot more trade news, a lot more
I didn't even
stuff.
know you could make trades before the finals were over.
You know what? Where we learn something new every day. I think as long as you're not violating that second apron, I think that you can.
I just kind of thought the trade deadline went through the end of the season.
Well, then you go.
There's gonna be a lot of fireworks.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of fireworks, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs do something similar to the Pacers and do a couple small trades that we're like, what was that about? And then a big one as well. So
y'all get those Twitter notifications ready. Get those Shams notifications. Chris Haynes, Brian Windhorst. Just get those tweet notifications ready. Y'all don't want to miss anything.
Oh
Rose,
yeah,
just in case,
because we are 8 days away from the NBA draft.
8 crazy nights,
indubitably. But you know what, guys? You're not going to have crazy nights if you go with Solar Scouts.
Boom,
because you're going to have your house protected, a nice, reliable backup solar energy. You're going to have power for you and your family if something crazy happens. It doesn't matter if it's a huge thunderstorm. There's been a lot of crazy storms in Texas over the last couple of weeks. It doesn't matter if your power goes out because the Solar Scouts got your back. Go to solarscouts.com/bums. Figure out how you can get a free consultation on your solar, on all of your solar needs for your house, but also just chat with some really, really friendly people over there.
Learn a thing or two. It's great.
Absolutely. Guys, I think that we need to get to some dunks. I'm feeling pretty dunky.
Yeah, Rob, tell us your dunk.
Well, I was going to dunk on the Magic for the Desmond Bane trade just because I'm not really feeling that he was worth 4 first rounders and a first round swap, but I do feel that I can go something else with my dunk. And I know I always go video games, and I'm going to go back to a video game dunk. I previously dunked on the Switch 2 a little bit, but now I'm going to dunk on the Switch 2 fans. Because, guys, just a week ago, we were complaining that the Switch 2 was going to be garbage, and then everyone went out and bought it. 3.5 million consoles sold in the first 4 days. 4 days.
That's a million a day.
And we know that the actual computing power is less than ideal. We know that Xbox is going to release a handheld gaming device really soon that's going to rival it. The Steam Deck is already out. It's amazing. There's other products that have better computing power that you can game on an even higher level, but yet we're just going to give our money to Nintendo because it's the thing we've done for 30 years. What the fuck, people? Like, come on. Like, we got to do better. 3.5 million in 4 days? Like, what?
Brand loyalty goes a long way, man.
With Nintendo, with a company like that, yeah.
They sell nostalgia, and that's it. That's all it is. They'll just put like a vintage Pokemon logo and be like, bam. Something old school Mario and be like, bam. You're going to buy it. And if you're not going to buy it, you dumb millennial, then you're going to buy it for your kid. And so it's, yeah.
Like, hey, y'all played Mario Kart as a kid. It was fun, right? Y'all want to play Mario Kart as an adult? It's less fun. The controllers are smaller, but you'll still want to play it.
But if I need to buy a new Switch 2 and then I need to like repay for all of my downloaded games, and then that's going to run me $600, $700, $800 if
you're basically paying for another console.
Yeah, I Yeah, dude. Nintendo. Yeah, I may have another dunk on Nintendo sooner rather than later, but you got dunk. Well, actually, it's the fans. Fans, if you bought a Switch 2, you got dunked on.
Stand on business.
Oh wait, okay. I gotta address this Wiz comment. It did wonders for the latest Pokemon game, supposedly. I would love to play the new Pokemon game on the Switch too. But yeah, I hope that they address more than just a couple of sort of gameplay issues, because man, that console could be really, really amazing, and instead it's kind of mid. But yeah, AJ, your dunks?
Oh man. I got two dunks. First one, I'm gonna dunk on the ESPN coverage of the NBA finals. It's terrible. It's bad. It's not good. And the coverage alone, like typically during the NBA finals, it's First Take, was it Get Up in the Morning, all those shows that start your day. Everyone's doing something on the finals where it's like you're diving deep into like Thomas Bryant's career or whatever. Like everyone's talking about every player in those talk shows. They're talking about the Cowboys. We're not even in football season. Like they're doing the OTAs. That's cool. But like, there's really not much to report. Like the NBA finals are just getting backburnered like crazy. And I don't think the guys from inside the NBA are going to be able to fix any of this. And I think it's going to get worse. So I watch my NBA finals games on mute. And cause I can't deal with this coverage. I just can't. They're terrible. I think we could do a better job. And that's including Adam. So, that's just, that's my 2 cents. And then my other dunk, I am going to dunk on our partners, or at least one partner, Mike Taylor. Mike,
Still love
look at me, Mike, right here. Look at me, Mike. Like we're homies. You're a good friend, but buddy, to call Kevin Durant one-dimensional and a spare is utterly ridiculous. I can't even comprehend how your mind even got to that point. It's Kevin Durant. He is a top 10, top 5 player of all time, top 3 shooter of all time. I mean, this dude is an automatic bucket. And yeah, he's a little long in the tooth, but we don't need him to do more. We just talked about it. Go watch the episode. Don't ever call him that again. Like, watch what you're saying. God damn. Anyway.
Including Adam. That popped Wiz.
Yeah.
So my dunk is a little bit on myself because I didn't do a good job in my ongoing battle with gravity this past week. I lost. But my dunk is going to be on driveway etiquette. And I think a lot of people that live in neighborhoods like mine would understand that, it's one thing if you don't want to use your garage and you want to park your car on the driveway. That's fine. Don't block the sidewalk. I'm trying to walk my dogs. I've got a baby. Strollers and off-roading don't mix very well. Just either put your car on the street or pull it up 5 more inches. It's the nice thing to do. And also, we have this stop sign in our neighborhood that people love to park like 10 feet in front of on the side of the road. Please stop it. That can't be legal.
It's not.
But also, the real part of my dunk is for DIY driveway improvements, because a lot of people in this neighborhood are widening their driveways by like a car length or 2 or car width or 2.
Just pouring cement. Yeah,
and they're doing it on their own, and they don't necessarily like level off the ground around what they're doing. So on Saturday, I was walking with aforementioned dogs and aforementioned baby, and I had the dogs and my wife was pushing the baby, and I stepped off of one of those extended driveway projects, and the ground around it was depressed. My bad ankle rolls over, and the rest of me goes over that bad ankle. And so I'm taped up to the max. I've got bandages on my leg. I've got bandages on my toe. everything hurts. Ankle swell.
Essentially, you're out like 2 to 4 weeks because of this driveway.
Yeah, and my own uncoordination. But guys, if y'all are gonna park your car in the driveway, don't block the sidewalk. And if you're gonna work on your driveway, make sure that you're not creating a hazard for people walking in the neighborhood by making holes next to it.
It's basic decency,
but neighborly.
But also, does that not violate some kind of like
code
or like HOA? Yeah, I was about to say.
So. The HOA over here has no problem sending me snippy fucking letters about my grass being an inch too long, but people apparently can just do whatever they want to with their driveways.
You need to go be president now, James. Walk in there.
I might.
Walk in there. You need to walk in on that meeting that they have once a year to elect them with your leg taped up, maybe your arm in a sling too, and say, I'm here to put this thing back on the map.
Me falling over like that might be my villain origin story, honestly.
Dude, yeah, he's going to show up to next episode with Joker makeup and stuff. But honestly, like,
know how I got these scars.
You should double down and like start building like a massive structure or something, and like just like, yeah, HOA, sorry, yeah, we got people doing front yard projects, and
I'm just not gonna mow my grass.
There you go.
I like it. I'm gonna do this.
That's honestly in America we practice peaceful protest, and that is a good peaceful protest.
Yep, that was another dunk of mine, but we're not gonna get into politics on this episode.
We might.
No, we're not. That was a great episode. Go Spurs, go.
But guys, if you are here and you just heard those amazing dunks, we appreciate you. We love you. This episode, this entire podcast would not be the same without you. Just the fact that you're here experiencing all of this with us, here for all these basketball conversations, it means the world to us. Like I was saying, this would not be the same without you. But yeah, this feels like a great episode. Shout out to Love You Hard TV, shout out to the Solar Scouts. Go to solarscouts.com/bums, figure out how to get clean, reliable solar energy. But guys, this feels like a great episode. Should we end this episode the same way we end all of the episodes?
Indubitably.
Yeah. Yes, and that's with a go. A Spurs. A go.
Speaking of indubitably, dude, could you imagine Kevin Durant and Wemby in an H-E-B commercial?
That would be sick.
I love it. Give me the KD